Hello everyone, happy you could be here. Let's dive in. Sit at My Grave, Season 3, Ego's Death, Chapter 21. With a soft click, Arden was locked into a seat. Everyone got briefed on safety tips while flying. A few flight attendants. Arden listened to what he needed to. His eyes were focused, but his brain felt anything but. He could feel the pressure rising in his chest with every bit of progress, from the flight attendant's words to the harsh sounds of the plane as they began taking off. Arden's fingers subconsciously dug into his seat, teeth clenching together. The spaghetti in his brain was replaced by a bit of reality hitting him. It was as comforting as it was unnerving. The things of his past were things he couldn't fix at the moment, and the uncertainty of not knowing what was a dream and what had been waiting for him to wake up was only something that would destroy his mind further if he dove into it. Watching as the plane went into the sky from a small window was something he could rationally be tense with. It was right in front of him. He could feel the rumble of the engine, the sounds of the others around him. It was easier to understand where that fear stemmed from. He was officially leaving his home now. And as it stood, whether he was there or not, he didn't have much of anything to come back to. His mother was worried for him, but he knew he'd said and done some things he shouldn't have. Watched she go over the fear and guilt of losing a child. Maybe she'd even realize he'd been nothing but a burden. He wished he hadn't started thinking like that, but that feeling was getting harder and harder to bury. She lost someone special with Reed. Arden looked at his own faded reflection in the window, letting out a gentle sigh. He'd been no help to her. He fought with his dad. His grandmother must think less of him, after witnessing him shout at his mother like that and run away. Things even felt different with Galen. Arden looked down at his phone, frowning. Galen had been pleasant. Things just didn't feel the same after he berated him like that. He didn't call as much as he would have hoped, and when he did, Galen seemed to always be surrounded by other people. He was even starting to recognize one of the voices from hearing him so much. Rolling his eyes, Arden put his phone away. He shouldn't have yelled at him like that, but he needed someone. Galen should be more sympathetic. It always happened in the past. And right now was when he truly needed it. Thought sourly. He never realized how difficult it would be to know so much, but at the same time, have nothing to show for it, and no one to talk to. This was a separate type of isolation that he'd known as a child. It was ironic. He was flying off to save Reed, but just from thinking over their past, he realized he wouldn't have had the chance to feel this alone if Reed were still alive. No matter what they fought about, Reed was his brother. He was always there. Whether he thought he needed him or not, he couldn't get rid of him. It was the biggest safety net he had, and he'd fully taken advantage of it. He and the rest of his family did. And as Arden continued to gaze out the window, watching as everything seemed to shrink beneath him, a sting of regret and mourning burned deeply. He couldn't help but wonder wherever Reed was. What could he possibly be thinking about him now? Arden's body tightened, glanced over a few beats before someone sat next to him. "Boy, did I startle you?" The kind, slightly accented voice asked. An older man with big glasses smiled at Arden. "I thought I had these seats alone," Arden dryly confessed. "Oh, my apologies. I was sitting in the wrong seat. You see, I was sat next to some lady and her child. The baby sat in his mom's lap for a while, and I guess they were just too kind to let this old dummy know he wasn't meant to be there." The man rambled with a laugh. Arden gave him a once-over, and the man stopped laughing. "Oh, hold on," he muttered. He reached into his coat pocket and handed Arden a tissue. "Is this your first flight? Don't be scared. We can watch a cartoon on the movie screen. That'll calm you down," the man insisted. Arden grabbed the tissue with his thumb and pointer, putting it aside before quickly wiping away at his eyes. A look of shock graced his features, and he felt warm tears cascading down his face. He hadn't even noticed. He was too lost in his thoughts. He didn't want this from some stranger. He supposed he must still look like a scared kid now. All those arguments, all that studying, what? I hardly scratched the surface. I'm not even there yet. I still can't pull myself together. Arden thought, downhearted. Headphones were placed in Arden's ears by the shaky hands of the older man. He put some on himself too before switching on the screen, a smile on his face. Arden wasn't interested, but he tried to pour his attention into it. The soft colors, cheerful music, bright smiling faces on screen. They were a lot easier on his mind than the bubbling contrast in his brain. This might be some of the final moments he had to get distracted by this type of nonsense. So he tried to let himself relax while he watched. He gave half responses to the man next to him when he asked him a question about the film. He tried to laugh with him about a part. The flight was long. There were cycles of people talking too loud, sleeping, a baby crying before being settled by its parents. A flight attendant came by to offer food, drinks, and snacks, hours in between. She walked by just to check on people briefly as well. By all this time, Arden had been formally introduced to the man beside him as Emil Kivi. He had been very intent on keeping Arden company, and Arden didn't have the energy to tell him off, so he mainly listened, only talking when he had to.
Goodness, this is tiresome. I am excited. This is my first time flying alone in a while. I've been working at it for months, and I'm finally here,
Emil told him. Arden wasn't interested in asking why. Emil looked like he was expecting it. At least, talking to him passed the time. Were you trying to, get enough money for it? Arden questioned, applying his own situation.
Not exactly that. I've been ill for a while, and I was hardly able to get out of bed. I wasn't cleared by my doctor to go anywhere,
Emil explained, a bit of sadness in his eyes as he recalled it, but it quickly melted away.
But I had a promise to keep. You see, me and my granddaughter, we visit on our birthdays, and well, since I got sick, families had to prepare her for not seeing me this year. My daughter offered to come back to my home instead, but it wouldn't be fair. Having a young girl have to stop her entire party just to see me. She doesn't have any friends where I'm from,
Emil blathered on. Arden sighed out, keeping a lazy focus while he listened.
Anyhow, a promise is a promise, so while everyone's there and has decided they aren't going to be able to see me this year, I've been working on my health a lot. Some of those days I really wanted to stay in bed, but I've been trying to eat better, get some movement in these old joints, and taking my medicine as well. And look, here I am. I've told my family not to bother calling me on my granddaughter's birthday. I told them I'd be sleeping in,
Emil explained, laughing to himself like it was the best secret ever. Arden gave him a lame smile back, only slightly raising his eyebrows to show he was engaged.
Imagine everyone's surprised when I show up. I'm so excited,
Emil beamed. Sounds great, Arden replied with a yawn.
Oh goodness. Time's running ahead of us again. The sky's changing, showing us its colors,
Emil said, shaking his head, peering out the window beside Arden. Arden glanced out too. Felt that familiar pit turn in his stomach when he caught sight of the time outside. This flight was hours long. Even with as tired as he was getting, he was still anxious to sleep, woke be in his dreams waiting on him, and when he woke up, it would feel like time passed him by far too quickly. He'll be at his destination without a clue of what to do, really. The only tangible information he could cling to was knowing what he was after, a Puko knife, by the title of Kurotu Kafari.